joy. This is your radio hour. Welcome to Viewpoint with Father John.
And welcome, friends. You are tuned to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or on the World Wide Web at KCAAradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John, and I am your host, Father John Reed. By the way, you can follow this show on Facebook at Viewpoint with Father John. Please join us there. And this is a listener-supported program, so if you'd like to help keep us on the air, please go to www.viewpointwithfatherjohn.com. Go to the support button, and you can help keep us on the air with whatever you care to donate. And you can also keep up with what's going on with the show. Also, some important information gets posted up there, workshops coming up and such. All of God's children are endowed with extraordinary purpose and ability. I'm on a quest to help as many as possible in realizing their divinely inspired potential. Disposing a false narrative and embracing genuineness inspires clarity of purpose. My role is to help overcome self-imposed limitations in realizing one's spiritual potential. And a couple things going on October 22nd this year, Martha Bass and I are teaming up again to do another workshop. This one is on making life whole. It's going to be at the UCC Church in the People's Republic of Claremont. And so we invite you to come. It's going to be a 4-hour workshop with lunch for $35, and the lunch is made by the world-famous Gabby. And any of you who have been to our workshops, you know that the lunch alone is worth attending. So those are some of the things going on. I'm going to skip some of the news stuff tonight because I think we can all use a little bit of a break. I don't know about you, but I actually wound up with such heartburn today just with what's going on and some of the news stuff and the fact that we can't get out of who's right and into what's right because people are just, I don't know, people are getting crazy right now, and I think we can do better, and I hope in November we will. Having said that, I'm really grateful to have a wonderful guest this evening. Her name is Jennifer Stark, and she is a candidate for City Council for the City of Claremont, the place where I live and the place that I love so much. And Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you on the show. Now, I'm going to ask something very unusual, and I have a reason for it. And that is, I'm going to ask that you don't say what your party affiliation is. And I'll tell you why I'm doing that. I'm very interested in hearing your platform. And unfortunately, we're in a climate right now that when some people hear one party or another, that's all they hear, and they don't hear the platform. And I think what you have to say is very important. And so I don't want that to get in the way of anything that we're doing. So if you don't mind accommodating me on that, I sure would appreciate it.
I don't mind at all. And you know, City Council in Claremont is a nonpartisan position. Right.
And Claremont is such a great city anyhow. I mean, I love living there. And one of the things I love best about that city is because it's called the City of Trees and PhDs, the climate, I've had many conversations with people with different points of view, and they don't just show up with talking points. They come prepared with research. And I don't know too many cities where people can bring research and have an actual intelligent conversation about what's going on. And Claremont's one of those few places. So what's driving you to run for city council and all the headaches that will come with that?
What was your question? I'm sorry, I didn't. All I heard was and all the headaches that would come with that.
Is what's driving you to run for city council?
Oh, you know, I'm motivated by truly a love of serving. I grew up in Claremont, and then I raised my 3 children in Claremont, and I'm filled with appreciation and gratitude and a sense of obligation to the city that's given me so much.
Well, you know, it's funny. I as much as I love Claremont, I only have one issue with Claremont, and that's Claremont High School, because I grew up in Ontario, and I went to Chaffey, and we played football against each other. So I have to throw out there, go Tigers, just
go Pat.
Yeah, just to keep up with my roots here. You know, one of the things I want to talk to you about a little bit, if I could, with all the good things going on in Claremont, and it certainly is a diverse city, and we both belong to the university club there, which is if you're part of Claremont and you're not part of the university's club, you're really missing out. It's a good organization.
It's a great club.
But one of the things that's happening, now my listeners know I'm very much into helping the homeless, and Claremont has some great programs. In fact, you just helped a friend of mine who just became homeless, and she's already in one of the programs that is sponsored by the Quaker Church there. So you help.
CAP?
Yes, so I'm grateful for that.
That's wonderful.
But the panhandling is getting crazy. I don't know if you noticed that. And if you go to Pepper Tree Center or to BC Cafe, you can't go in either place without getting hit up 2 or 3 times for panhandling. Is there something we can do to both help people but also make it so that some of us can get out with a little money in our pocket?
Yeah, I think that Claremont's approach to homelessness is, as it's going to be rolled out in the near future, is a hand up, not a handout.
Right.
So, so even though we all know that it, someone's asking you for a little bit of help, and you have a little bit of money, and it feels like, what harm could it do? It's actually, first of all, it's against city ordinance, and it's encouraging a behavior. Yeah, it's encouraging a behavior that we don't want to encourage. So it's better not to give money, and it's better instead to offer services. So through human services, they can their referral program,
right.
So they could try to refer somebody to more long-term assistance. And I know that that's an imperfect answer, but
it's a good answer.
It's a problem that's going to require. That's my little dog who's barking at me because I gave her a treat a few minutes ago. She's keep bugging me for treats.
That's why my wife doesn't give me treats.
Yeah, never stop asking. As we move forward with our approach to homelessness, I think that what is really important is that we educate our community, and to give the community a real sense of what they can do or what they can offer to somebody who's panhandling. And St. Ambrose Church offers lunch a number of days. I believe it's Thursday and Tuesday. And so there's things to offer, and if the community knew what to offer, it would be easier than just walking by, the
different restaurants, right?
Someone who was in need.
That's good, and that's good for me to know too, because anyone who knows me knows I'm a soft touch. But what I discovered, and I'm not saying this to put anybody down. I mean, I really do feel for people, and for years I worked with the community, working with the homeless people, trying to help them get a new life, is I know that we have close to the border of Pomona and Claremont, there is a halfway house there. And I didn't realize that some of these people were from the halfway house, and they really didn't need the money. What they were doing was they were just going a few blocks away into Pomona, and for $35 you can buy methamphetamine. Now, I didn't know that until just a few months ago. And a very wise friend of mine said, what's happening here, this is why you shouldn't give the money when you're coming out of the restaurant. And I didn't know until then. And I thought, well, there has to be a better way. And so I'm glad to hear what you're telling me, because I'll get together with you in the near future to get some more resources so that I can actually hand people stuff and say, look, here's some resources. This is better than $1 or $2 at a restaurant door if you're really needing help. So that's good to know. So what excites you about Claremont? I know it's a very ecological city. They really think about the environment a great deal. What excites you about it? Well,
Claremont's my home, and it always has been. So there's a lot of there's a lot of aspects that I love. I think that the human services and community services that Claremont provides are really exciting and make us unique. The fact that we have so many parks. I want to say, like 24 parks in Claremont. We have more green space per capita than most other places. That's really exciting, that we're a community of passionate, involved, informed people who really who are willing to fight for the causes they believe in. I think that that's really exciting. We have fantastic schools. The employees who work for the city are amazing.
Yes.
We're in a beautiful area at the base of, gorgeous Mount Baldy, and we have the Wilderness Park and Claremont's wonderful canopy of trees. We have a vibrant and unique downtown. There's the we're going to be expanding south of the railroad tracks.
Oh, my area.
Yeah, so that's gonna expand the village concentrically south and west, and bring a larger area into the downtown. So yeah, it'll bring north of. Sorry, I'm not kidding. South of Arrow will turn into like part of the village, and then
good.
So that concentrically will grow the village, which is going to be really wonderful for everybody.
Oh, it sounds
so that whole Boring Dead area where KGI is,
right?
Where will turn into a wonderful, vibrant area to shop and also eat and also do business and it's going to be wonderful. A lot like how what we used to call Village West was expanded.
Right, I remember that. That. And Village West is really fantastic. I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry, I had to scold my dog. She keeps barking at me. Her name is Boss, and she's this tiny little dog that we found in the street. And she's bossing me around right now. Go lie down. Go find a toy and lie down. Both of you.
Well, it's...
Sorry.
No, that's okay. One of the things I love about Claremont is all the community things that take place, particularly during summertime. I had gone to the west side of the village, over to the theater. This is just 2 Fridays ago. I went to see Michael Moore's new movie. And
I haven't seen it yet. Was it good?
It's fantastic. It's very well done. I like the way he checks his facts out, and nobody's safe with Michael Moore. It doesn't matter if you're left or right. You're both going to get chewed out. But his facts are always good, and I appreciate that about him. But there was a band playing there in the little town center by the theater, and they were fabulous. I mean, they're playing a different mix of music, and I'm a music lover. I grew up in show business. And I don't know too many cities that have that on a regular basis, that you can go there, and there were all kinds of people there with their lawn chairs and with their coffee and their soda. And the whole community is just digging this together. And it amazes me how well people get along in Claremont. So that's one of the things I love about that city. And I did a little bit of my schooling there at the School of Theology. That's where I studied Aramaic. And one of the things I love about that city is once you are 55 years of age, which I'm not quite yet, you can audit any class at the universities for $50.
Yeah.
And I'm already looking at class schedules for next year for when I hit the golden age, because I'm a lifelong student. I don't know any other area that offers that with such prestigious universities.
We have so much to be proud of. I don't know about the auditing programs that the other cities in our region offer, but to be able to audit classes at the Claremont colleges is such a gift. So I'm an alum of Pittsburgh, and alums are allowed to audit also, always.
Wow.
Like life, yeah. So that's a perk. You know that the Claremont colleges are the only intentional group of colleges in the United States. Now, I know there's like Amherst and like those schools that are. There's other towns that have a lot of schools in them and that do cooperative things, but the Claremont colleges were envisioned that way.
Oh.
They were planned to be that way. After Pomona College was built, Blaisdell got in touch with Eleanor Browning Scripps, and she bought all of this land, and they came up with this plan of making like an Oxford of the West.
Nice.
To develop, instead of growing Pomona like USC was doing into a great big huge institution, Pomona intentionally stayed small, and then the graduate school was built, and then Scripps was built, and then CMC was built, and then Harvey Mudd was built, and then Pitzer was built, and then KGI was built, and it really is. It's such a gem, and it's really a great source of pride and contributes to Claremont's uniqueness.
Well, speaking of built things, we're up to our first built commercial break, and so my guest tonight is Jennifer Stark, and she's running for city council in the beautiful city of Claremont. And so we'll continue our conversation after the break. We'll hear you in 2 and 2.
The loss of a loved one is one of the most challenging experiences in a person's life. It's hard to know where to turn to make your loved one's final arrangements. Jesse Ruiz at Personal Funeral Planning in Ontario will treat you and your loved one with the respect you deserve. Jesse served in the Marine Corps in Desert Storm and understands what it takes to provide loyal, personalized, and empathetic service to those who need it most. The families of Michael Jackson, Brittany Murphy, Ed McMahon, and many others have trusted Jesse to provide them with the highest level of service and support. To work with Jesse, call 909-762-4027, 909-762-4027, or visit their website, www.4pfp.org. www.4pfp as in personal funeral planning.org. Jesse Ruiz and Personal Funeral Planning, veteran-owned and operated, helping you plan a personal, lasting tribute for your loved one. www.4pfp.org.
Every day is a great day at KCAA Radio. All right. I was trying to figure out if I wanted to cover National Taco Day, which is also today, or something that's a little more close and personal to my heart, National Vodka Day. So we're going to do National Vodka Day and then maybe have a taco after. You see, National Vodka Day is observed annually on October 4th in the U.S. It is by the distillation of fermented substances such as grains and potatoes or sometimes fruits or sugar that vodka is made. You see, traditionally prepared vodkas had an alcoholic content of percent by volume, and in the United States, products sold as vodka must have an alcoholic content of 30% or more. I prefer 70%. Anyways, moving on. On the rocks or over ice is a popular way vodka is ordered. Vodka is also commonly used in cocktails and mixed drinks such as Caesar. There's Bloody Mary, Screwdriver, Sex on the Beach. There's Moscow, Mule, White Russian, Black Russian, Vodka Tonic, Vodka Martini, and I could probably make about 4 of my own right here on the spot. Vodka makers have expanded the variety of flavors, making endless possibilities when it comes to cocktails, mixed drinks, and other beverages the whole year round. How to observe? Well, mix up your favorite vodka cocktail and share while you savor an autumn afternoon. Remember always to drink responsibly and never drink and drive. Use hashtag National Vodka Day when using social media. I'm probably going to upload mine, each with a different drink, like 23 times today. For KCAA NBC News Radio, I'm Andrew Caravella. This has been The More You Know.
And welcome back. You are tuned to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or on the World Wide Web at KCAAradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John, and I am your host, Father John Reed. And tonight my guest is Jennifer Stark, who is a candidate for a city council for the city of Claremont. Jennifer, welcome back.
Thank you.
And we were talking a little bit about the Claremont colleges when we went to break. And again, I'm a big fan of the Claremont colleges. I got to study Aramaic at School of Theology at Claremont. And I still wear my shirt proudly as though I graduated from there. I graduated from another school, but I took coursework there. And now, did you go to college there in Claremont?
I did. I went to Pitzer College.
Oh, that's right. You mentioned that.
Yeah.
I was wearing my blonde hair tonight. I'm sorry. Now, what's your degree in?
I have a degree in, I have a bachelor's in classics and world literature.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
A while ago.
I got a three-pronged degree. Well, I have my bachelor's is in human behavior, my master's and PhD is in religious studies and counseling, and I got an extra degree in lunch. And so it was sort of an elective. So have you ever lived outside of Claremont? I
have. When I graduated from high school, and then I was able to go on a Rotary exchange to Australia for a year, because you know how Australia is the southern hemisphere?
Sure.
So when I graduated from high school, there was still another semester left of their high school. So I graduated and went into their senior year in a town called Collie in Western Australia, and joined 3 other high school students in that class, because there was only about 600 people who lived in that town, and
wow.
So most of the people didn't go all the way through. They had gone into trades already and apprenticeships. So I did that, and I lived in Australia. After that semester was over, then I did a correspondence course, but I lived in Australia for a year as an exchange student. And then I came home and lived in San Francisco for a while, and I was in San Francisco for the big earthquake.
Oh, wow.
In '88. And then I lived in Paris for about a year and a half, and I was a waitress there.
Wow!
And that was very exciting. And then I moved back to the United States and lived in Santa Cruz, and then I came back to Claremont in '95.
Oh,
so I was.
Go ahead.
I was gone for a few years. I guess 7 years, and then came back again, and I've been living here since 1995.
Well, my oldest brother, he actually went to UC Santa Cruz, and when he was up in San Jose, he was the one who opened Rancho Laguna Sega. I don't know if you ever heard of that program, but
hey.
Yeah, we called it the $3 million drunk tank, and he was very much into what we call social model recovery for people with alcohol and drug problems. In fact, he was the one in Bloomington who changed Amigo House into Cedar House, which is still open. In fact, it's a huge facility now. They've moved. And at one time, they were across the street from Greenacre Mortuary and Cemetery. And so when we would take someone in for detox, we stop in the middle of the street. We point at the detox. We say, if you don't make it here, then we point it to the other side. We say, we'll plant you there. And they say, hey, that's not funny. We say, you're darn right, it's not funny. So my family's worked a great deal in alcoholism. And you're speaking of the San Francisco quake. I had an uncle that was in the quake before that, where everything was destroyed, and he was quite a drinker, and he came out of a blackout and looked around and says, oh, God, how am I going to pay for this? So, sorry, I couldn't resist. So you came back to Claremont.
So I came back to Claremont, and that's when I went. Then I went to Pitzer as a new resources student. So that means Pitzer has a program where if you're over 25, you can go. They admit a certain number of students who are older, and it's to have a more diverse student community. And so I was one of them. And
nice.
It was a great program for me, yeah.
Well, that's terrific. Well, there's some beautiful campuses there. I keep meaning to go to one of the programs that Bridges Auditorium, there's always some great sympathies and I can't even talk tonight. What is great concerts?
Yeah.
My board operator is laughing at me through the glass because he knows I'm having trouble. I had a chocolate chip cookie and I'm paying for it right now because I'm not supposed to have sugar. But it's, that city is so involved with things. I'm going to just change the view just a little bit to one of the things I'm most proud of our city with, and that's our police department.
Yes.
That is probably the most professional police department, and don't mistake that for meaning that they take any gumph. They don't. I mean, something happens, they're on it quick, but they're also very polite. They're not abusive. So I'm very impressed with them. And should you make it on the city council, I'm going to hit you up for a couple of favors, if I may.
Sure, let's do it.
And that's your influence with the police department, because there's two things happening in Claremont right now that I'm sure you noticed that it's actually a relatively new problem that we haven't had until probably this last year. Usually the drivers in Claremont are very polite. They stop for the stop signs. They stop for the pedestrians. But as you get south of the village, that's not happening. And it's mayhem. Over by where I am, they don't even slow down for some of the stop signs. They just rush through them. And also, if you're turning right on a green light, someone turning left will actually cut you off, which is against the law. Or if you're still crossing, they'll cut you off while they turn left. And I'm wondering if, as a member of the city council, you would have any influence with our wonderful chief of police to ask them to put some special patrols in certain areas just to maybe help clean that part up. Would you have any influence on any of that?
Well, and you know who has a lot of influence over that?
No.
The community.
Okay.
So if you were to call, have you tried calling and asking?
Yes.
Oh, and it didn't work?
Not yet. Not yet.
Well, yes, I think that it does take a community involvement and community letting the police know where they're most needed. The way that the Claremont police work is in a quadrant.
Okay.
So Indian Hills, the center, and Foothill is what divides it. So there's like the northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest
right.
quadrant. So Indian Hills should essentially have two officers on it. But I don't know if you're talking about Indian Hill. But I've seen some terrible speeding also on like South Mountain, which is like our most western street.
You're getting close to the area.
Yeah. It's just so I think that South Mountain is a street that could use what they call a road diet, where
right.
it probably should not be a 2-lane street, and it could be is it 2 lanes below Arrow there? Do you know?
Yes, it is.
Anyways, it's too wide of a street for a residential street, and so if it had 1 lane only, that helps slow traffic, and a much bigger bike lane, which would also help get more promote active forms of transportation.
Right.
But yeah, the police need to know, by getting calls. So there's the community response program is called "If You See Something, Say Something,"
right.
and that does include speeding. So breaking rules of the road.
Yeah. Well, this is
so it might not get taken care of right away, but at least it's on their radar.
Well, that's good to know, because this is down by Bucknell, San Jose area.
Yeah.
There's an inside street there right by the park where it's gotten so that they don't even slow down for the stop sign. They just will go through it, and the speed limit's 25, but they're doing like 40.
Is that Wheeler Park you're talking about?
Which park?
Wheeler Park? By Vista?
Yes, by Vista, and it's in between Mountain and Bucknell, and so you think I would think of the name of the school right now, and I can't off off the top of my head, and I live right there. I am getting older in age, and it's starting to show. Well, I'm glad to know that. I'll give another call to Claremont PD to see if they'll just put a motor officer there.
And I'll mention it. I'll mention it next time I see her too.
Yeah. Well, I know we have a wonderful chief there at the police department. She came and spoke to the university club this last year, and I was very impressed with her qualifications and really her attitude towards policing. And so that's pretty good. Because you hear about some agencies that are very abusive, and we're fortunate we don't have that.
No, and humans are imperfect, and so there's I don't want to sound like I'm saying that our police force is perfect. However, in Claremont, there really is a culture of community policing, which is well known to be the best approach to having the greatest results in crime prevention, not just trying to catch people in the act. Yeah, but preventing crime. So Claremont is a hard town to do crime in.
It is.
Which that makes it less appealing to people who want to do crime.
Well, I'll give you an example of that.
If we all look out for each other and all feel empowered and encouraged to call the police when we see something that looks troubling, like someone speeding, then that's one way to make us all be safer.
Well, I tell you how quick they are with response. A few months back, on Bucknell, we have several complexes that are condominiums, apartments, condominiums, and our maintenance guy / manager was in the driveway that faces the condominiums behind us, and he saw somebody who didn't look right going through the storage bins in the carport of one of them. And so his wife called Claremont PD. In less than 2 minutes, there was 6 police cars there, and they caught the guy. And I mean, they're really serious about their job, and that's kind of nice.
Even if you see someone who's going through the recycling bin, that's oftentimes, it doesn't mean that person's a criminal,
right.
But it's a good idea to call, because once the thing is in the recycling bin, it then belongs. It's already put in where it's supposed to be.
Right.
So, anytime you see anyone dumpster diving or
that's where I get my best snacks.
Because also our police are trained to help be the first resource for people who need help. So,
that's an important point right there.
That this is in Claremont Police. It really is serve and protect, not protect and serve. Like, they are looking. They know they are a good first touch for somebody who needs extra help, someone who's having a hard time, and for someone who maybe is in need of services.
Yeah, and I remember seeing at the Chevron that's hooked up with that McDonald's on Indian Hill that there was someone who was homeless, and at first it looked like the police was harassing them, and it wasn't. They were bringing them a pamphlet on resources where they can get help. And I thought, that's really pretty cool. That was pretty nice.
It's really cool, and they will help. They will bring them in and make all the initial calls for vouchers. This is a service. It isn't. They're not looking to punish anybody. They're looking to help people.
Yeah,
they're looking to punish criminals. People who are doing crime.
Right.
They want to catch, but people who need services, they want to help them get those services.
Well, and that's kind of the attitude of the entire citizenship of Claremont, I've noticed. When I first moved there, I noticed a couple of homeless people in the village that were regulars. One of them's name's Marshall, and I noticed people there not only knew their names, but I had seen where, like, let's say Marshall would go into the Village Grill, and someone would just say to the waitress, give him whatever he wants, I'll take care of it. And I thought that was pretty neat. And I got to know Marshall a little bit, and he's one of those that had fallen through the cracks. There's mental health issues, and when we close all the psychiatric hospitals, he's one of the people that was victim of that. And he's not a bad guy. He's not violent. He just has...
it takes all kinds of people to be in a community.
Yeah.
And people should have, as long as they're not hurting anybody, it should be okay for people to want to live how they live. And so I think that it isn't a reasonable expectation to expect everybody to want the same things out of life. And a lot of people have adapted. And so when we talk about homelessness, we're talking about a huge, diverse community of people. There are people who have mental health issues. There are the chronically homeless. There are people who have drug and alcohol addictions. There are people who have just fallen on hard times. There are people who are employed but underemployed and can't afford their rent. There are people who are, just month to month hanging on, and something happens that puts them in jeopardy. And so when we talk about homelessness, it's really important, I think, that we remember that this is something we have to be open-minded and agile in our thinking and in our approaches, because it's not just one thing; it's a multitude of things.
Well, this is a topic that's close to my heart, but we're up against the next break. When we come back from the break, I want to talk a little more about this, because this is something that is so important to me. I think it's an absolute important human condition. So we'll be back in 2 and 2.
The loss of a loved one is one of the most challenging experiences in a person's life. It's hard to know where to turn to make your loved one's final arrangements. Jesse Ruiz at Personal Funeral Planning in Ontario will treat you and your loved one with the respect you deserve. Jesse served in the Marine Corps in Desert Storm and understands what it takes to provide loyal, personalized, and empathetic service to those who need it most. The families of Michael Jackson, Brittany Murphy, Ed McMahon, and many others have trusted Jesse to provide them with the highest level of service and support. To work with Jesse, call 909-762-4027, 909-762-4027, or visit their website, www.4pfp.org. www.4pfp as in personalfuneralplanning.org. Jesse Ruiz and Personal Funeral Planning, veteran-owned and operated, helping you plan a personal, lasting tribute for your loved one. www.4pfp.org.
I'm so tired of the buffering on my smartphone. I'm so over it. Next. Right? I am so over it. Next. A radio? Next. No buffering, just your favorite local radio station?
Next Radio uses the FM tuner that is already built into your phone, so you can listen to your favorite stations on the go. Because Next Radio uses the FM tuner already built into your smartphone, it saves on data and battery usage. When compared to streaming audio, Next Radio uses less than 1/10 of your data, and your battery will last 3 times longer. Next Radio, it's FM radio on your smartphone.
Introducing a radio inside your cell phone. Listen to all kinds of local radio stations, including KCAA 106.5 Yucaipa and 102.3 Riverside on Next Radio. Download the free Next Radio app today. 100% free, 100% fun, 0% buffering. Stop the buffer and listen to KCAA.
When Michelle lost her job, her home, and her children because of her addiction, she was desperate to make a change. She felt hopeless. Then she discovered Cedar House Life Change Center in Bloomington. Their staff showed Michelle how to live drug-free and be the mother she always knew she could be. You know what it feels like to be trapped in your addiction? Too many people in our community feel that way every day. That's why Cedar House is here to help with a range of residential and outpatient care. To support the mission of recovery, visit cedarhouse.org, where they say, "Come grow with us."
If you're looking for a full or part-time sales position and you have radio, TV, or print media experience, KCAA has a great opportunity waiting for you that pays the highest commissions in the market. KCAA is the only station in the IE that broadcasts on 3 frequencies, so advertisers receive 3 ads for 1 low rate. This makes KCAA a must-buy for every local business. If you're interested in a sales position with us, email CEO@KCAAradio.com.
And welcome back. You are tuned to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or on the World Wide Web at KCAAradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John, and I am your host, Father John Reed. As a reminder, this is a listener-supported program, so if you would please go to www.viewpointwithfatherjohn.com and go to the support button. You can make a donation and keep us on the air. Those of you who have been contributing, I really, really do want to thank you. Also, if you want one of our beautiful shirts, we have both the t-shirt and the polo shirt. You've seen them on Facebook. We can be glad to sell you those to help keep this on the air. And so just contact me through either the website or our Facebook page, and I will be more than happy to tell you how to get that. As a reminder that Martha Bass and I do have a workshop coming up on the 20th of this month at the UCC Church in the People's Republic of Claremont, and we will be doing a thing called Making Life Whole. This is worth coming to. Some of you who went to our last workshop on forgiveness, this will just be an extenuation of that with some whole new ideas on how to become your own hero. So it'll be a lot of fun. It's $35. It includes lunch, and if you've ever been to Claremont, you can't get lunch for even $35 here. And it's worth it because it's made by the one and only Gabby. And while we're giving credit where credit's due, I want to give a shout out to Nick, who's our board operator, who's doing a great job for us, and he's just fantastic. And he's trying to eat more cookies than me tonight to keep me from having a sugar high. So I appreciate that, Nick. I really do. He's going to talk about it right now.
Everything I can do to support you in the show.
I appreciate that.
It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it.
That's right. He's still mad at me because for his birthday I bought him a comb when he's bald, and I said, well, I knew you'd never part with it. So so those are some of the things going on. My guest tonight is Jennifer Stark, who is a candidate for City Council for the beautiful city of Claremont, which, if you can't tell yet, I'm a big fan of this city ever since I moved there. I've never been happier, and my wife Gabby loves the place. Once I took her there because she wanted to move somewhere else when we were first looking for a place to live, and I said, you got to see Claremont. And I took her over there, and she fell in love. She says, no, we're living in Claremont. That's where we're going. And I learned a long time ago that my real name is Yes Dear. And so we moved there, and it's been a wonderful love affair of the city since. And my guest tonight, as I said, is Jennifer Stark, and we've been talking a little bit about the homeless issue. And I hope you're able to hear the attitude that she's bringing, that this is a human condition. This is not something to look down upon, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring it up. And one of the reasons I'm so thrilled to be a part of the community of Claremont is this is how a lot of citizens view it. These are our brothers and sisters, and it's put upon all of us to help each other out. And Claremont has some great programs for that. And so for what you do with that, Jennifer, I'm so grateful for.
Thank you.
Why should people bring their business to Claremont?
Well, because Claremont is a wonderful place to not only to shop, but also to work and have a business. I mean, in my opinion, you couldn't work in a better place. There is business There's potential to grow your business in Village South with the new development that's happening in the next few years, just south of the railroad track, and there's a vibrant, wonderful community to join when you do business in Claremont. Our Chamber of Commerce is a strong and thriving group. If you do have business in the village, then you could join Village Marketing Group, where you have community. And among the hallmarks of Claremont, I would have to say that in the top 5 would be our community, for sure. So there's a great, thriving business community that supports each other and sees that success for one person leads to success for everybody else.
Well, I'll tell you, I have the best pharmacist in the world who's there in Claremont, my friend Nikki Ho, who has Claremont Pharmacy over there on Arrow Highway in Indian Hill.
I've been there before.
I'm sorry, what?
I've been there before. She's really great.
She's wonderful. And I'll tell you what, I've never had my stuff so organized. And, I'm kind of an airhead. People will tell you that. I forget the things I need. And I'll get an email from Nikki saying, Father John, these things are ready. You need to come get them. So she takes very good care of me. So if anyone out there in the Claremont area is looking for a good pharmacist, definitely go to Claremont Pharmacy. Tell her Father John sent you. So have you served on city council before?
I have not. This is my first time running for an elected office.
How exciting.
I know, thank you. I'm currently on the Traffic and Transportation Commission, which is one of the city's commissions. That's an appointed position. And I serve, so I've learned a lot about governance being on that commission. I also serve on 2 boards in Claremont, as well as starting my own nonprofit with some friends of mine that I'm very, very proud of. And then I've also been, I'm also involved in the League of Women Voters. So last year I went to all the city council meetings in Pomona as well, as going to all the city council meetings in Claremont. So I've known that I wanted to run for city council since 2016, and I have been hard at work, eagerly learning since then.
Fantastic.
Like I said, I've only missed 1 city council meeting in the last 2 years.
Well, the city council there, from what I've seen, really packs them in. The community is very involved with city council, which is kind of neat.
We have a very, very active community.
You mentioned
and the commission process is part of that community. Commissions are community members that serve in a government capacity, where it's a way for the city council to sort of extend what they can do, so the commissions intersect with the community and the department. So for traffic and transportation, it's engineering, and sometimes planning, and sometimes other community services like our assistant community director, Dave Rogers, who does all the trees. That's also something that comes to traffic and transportation.
Yes.
So it's been really great. I love it.
Well, there's a term that's been all over city signs for the last couple of weeks, and forgive me, I really don't know what the answer to this is, and if you don't, I don't blame you either. But it says they're doing all this work for slurry. What is slurry?
Slurry is what happens. Slurry is the retopping of the roads.
Oh.
So Claremont is on a system where they go through a cycle every 7 years and re-slurry the streets. And so it's that's why the streets in Claremont are so well kept.
They are too.
Yeah. So if you keep the streets slurried, then it prevents worse trouble, because then it goes to more like the more streets get degraded, the harder they are to fix. Because then if it gets so bad, then you have to regrind and do a whole new asphalt treatment, which is super expensive and takes a lot of time. So the slurry is a maintenance thing that happens to the streets.
Well, now I know what that is, and I do have to say, and I'm not putting down our surrounding cities. That's not where I'm coming from. But you can tell the moment you go from Pomona to Claremont, or from Upland to Claremont, or from Montclair to Claremont, for the mere fact the roads are so smooth. And
it's the benefit of being in a small town.
Yes.
So that's one thing. Like, I don't want to, and we have our engineering department is funded, and
yes,
that's and intentionally so. So and so that you don't want to talk about the budget, but the engineering department's budget isn't part of the general fund. It's a specific fund. So the streets are budgeted for every year, and maintaining the streets is something that's really important because it's actually a cost saver.
When you also invest in the children of the city with how well the parks are maintained. I've never seen a city maintain parks so well, and it's something I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
And including...
No, it is our parks are so great. Our programs are so great. I mean, you know what, Father John? Sometime you should go check out TAC and YAC. TAC is the program at the junior high after school.
Okay.
It is amazing. I mean, there's probably like 175 kids there having a great time after school. So these are kids who maybe, whose parents maybe don't work in town, who can't come pick them up after school. And so they can do their homework, they can play with other kids, they can go outside, they can watch movies, they can play pool, they can play ping pong, there's board games, and it is such an investment in community that starts at this young level. This is a free program. And then over at the high school, it's kind of the same thing, but just a little bit older, because they're in high school. They have a recording studio.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, I know that Claremont really does invest in the children, and that's very near to my heart.
We invest in our people. We invest in community.
Now you mentioned I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's just, that's, I mean, to me, community is everything. And as you were talking, before the last break when we were talking about homelessness, that a community isn't a bunch of people who are the same. A community is people who are different, and we're there for each other. Yes. And the idea, everyone doesn't have to be an extrovert, and everyone doesn't have to want to serve on 1,000 different committees or 1,000 different boards. But if you do want to, they're there for you. And even if you prefer to be on your own, it's not okay to be isolated.
Right. And there's a big difference between those two. And
and in the community, you never need to be isolated because there's always someone there who cares.
Yes, and I think that's an important message right now with all the divide that's going on in our country at the moment, which breaks my heart. We've never seen it to this point before. That really kind of makes Claremont a little paradise because we do come from so many different areas, different concepts, but we respect each other. We listen to each other. Yeah. We can agree without being disagreeable. And, as I tell my listeners quite often, it's okay to disagree with me. Just know why you disagree with me. And maybe we can both learn from that experience.
It's at the local level that we can say it's not true. We can have different opinions and we can have different beliefs about what the federal government should do and what the federal government shouldn't do. But we are humans and we are not divided. It is people are making money off of making us think we're divided.
Yes.
We are humans. We care about each other, and just because we see issues differently, that does not mean that we all start off as darling little babies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're all...
And then when we get older, we wind up back in diapers again. So it's full circle.
I just think that, in my ideal world, all news outlets would be public outlets, and no one would be able to make any money advertising when it came to the news, so that we could not have people profiting over this divided rhetoric. Because I think it's true that there are differences of opinion, but we share more than we have a lot in common with each other.
Well, we're going to leave it there, but you and I are absolutely united on that point. And you've been a wonderful guest. My guest this evening has been Jennifer Stark. She is a candidate for City Council for the City of Claremont. If you haven't been to Claremont, come visit it. It's a beautiful city. Come see the people there. And for those who anyone has not told you that they love you yet, let me be the first to tell you this week. Thank you again for spending this hour with Viewpoint with Father John. I look forward to being with you next week. God bless.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM. 102.3 FM and 106.5 FM.